This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Bear Boat Alaska. Up your DIY hunting game with one of their 37-foot adventure yachts. You and 5 of your friends can hunt, fish, set crab pots, shrimp pots, and take DIY to the next level. Bear Boat Alaska is locally owned by a Ketchikan resident who lives here year-round. Call Larry at 907-617-4542 or go to bearboatalaska.com. That's B-A-R-E boatalaska.com and tell Larry you heard about it on this podcast. Welcome back to the podcast. I have Trent Fisher on. Trent Fisher is from bornandraisedoutdoors.com. I'm sure you've seen him getting really excited after shooting massive elk from, was it 700 yards? Was that video?
I don't think that was me. It was not 700 yards. Let's just back her down a little bit.
Thanks for being on here, man. I really appreciate you taking
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Man. So you grew up in, is it Coquille, Oregon? Is that right? Coquille?
Yeah. So I live in just a town that's about 7 miles away from that now. But yeah, I grew up right here on the coast of Oregon. We're, I don't know, probably 25 minutes maybe from the ocean, probably. So I call it the coast, but it kind of is. But yeah, I love where I live, man. We're so close to the ocean, and that yet you got the inland side of things to where you can, the hunting and the fishing and everything. And it just, man, it all ties into each other. It's a pretty special place.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to guess because it looked like maybe it was a logging town at some point, that it instilled in you hard work ethic and family values. Is that right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah, grew up cutting timber and logging and in the industry. The county, Coos County that I live in, it's probably one of the biggest, I would say, logging counties. I would say probably in the country, as far as that goes. So yeah, it's a big logging and working community, that's for sure.
Since I am in my classroom right now recording this, I got to ask, pretend you're a senior in your English class. Where were you sitting? And then what were you doing? Were you reading the books? Were you doodling? Were you planning out your search engine optimization? What were you doing?
In English class? Well, that is actually, I think it would probably be shocking to some people because actually a class I did well in, one of the only ones that I did well in. I enjoyed it actually. So I was actually probably maybe even paying attention at that point. Well, depends if I was a senior. Where are we talking? You teach all grade levels?
Yeah, I have one class of freshmen and then mostly juniors and seniors. So, but that freshman, you don't really count that one. That's a starting point.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, no, I enjoy the subject of that, and the writing side of things is pretty intriguing to me as well. So,
how important has story been in what you're doing as far as your podcasts and as far as video and such? You know, there's all these transferable skills and these things that you can't just shoot video. Like there's a lot more to that. So how have some of those skills kind of helped you with what you're doing now?
That's a great question. And you can make it as complex or as simple, I think, as possible, as far as you can take it to all different spectrums. And what we do is, as far as like with a video is we've kind of broken it down in a lot of ways. Like, okay, so what is a video? What is that? And it's it's just got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I mean, you can really break it down to something so simple as that. You need something, to intro, and then something to hook the person, and then to develop it and to close it out. And so you could, like I said, you can take it a bunch of different ways, make it as complicated as possible. But at the end of the day, you're right. It's the storytelling side of things, and it comes from everybody's different backgrounds as well. And I think that kind of brings it all together, right? As far as just different personalities in the show itself.
Were you influenced by anybody growing up? Did you grew up subscribing to Field and Stream, Outdoor Life, and then watching some of those private hunt videos on Bird Channel or whatever?
I honestly, back when I was growing up, I wanted to be a professional bass fisherman. That's what I believe that. I wanted to be in the Bassmaster Classic, okay, and I wanted to be a pro bass fisherman. That was kind of the way. I mean, honestly, that's the honest to truth. And we always hunted. We always hunted as a family and everything. But it was fishing, honestly, that started me out as far as in the outdoors of a career, I guess. And then when I realized that wasn't going to happen at about the age of, I don't know, graduating your class somewhere in there, I was like, okay, now what? So then I worked in the timber industry. But no, it's Jim Shockey, stuff like that. There wasn't a ton of stuff growing up that we had. Like now, the outdoor channels just, I mean, you can see it 24/7 if you want to. And back then, it was more programming as far as Thursday night at 7 or whatever it may be,
Right.
And so it was some of that nature. But no, I never really had like this. If you would have told me I'm doing what I do now for a living back in even as of 10 years ago, I would have said, yeah, that's not happening. So it's just been a journey of just stepping stones of certain possibilities and certain risks. I would say that's a big thing as far as we've taken a ton of risk to get where we're at. And anyway, some have paid off, some have been just stepping stones and learning points. But it's it's definitely a weird dynamic of, if someone told me I was going to be a YouTuber, yeah, I would have, it would have been laughable, pretty laughable.
You have to have I don't want to say bad ideas, because bad ideas get you to good ideas, but can you put a percentage to it when you're getting started off? If it was, for every great idea that really, really worked and you saw growth, was it at the cost of 2 or 3 bad ideas, or going down a different lane that you had to backtrack and get back on the major highway there? How was that ratio first starting off, good ideas to bad?
It wasn't too bad starting out. I would say it was the drive, so when you get into the media side of things, and when you get into, let's just say into the media side of things, and what I'm talking about is social media, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Facebook or YouTube or something like that, you're putting yourself out there, right? You're putting out a product and you're putting yourself out there. Back when we started, there wasn't a lot on YouTube as far as in the hunting space. Hushin was definitely up and going and stuff. And there was a few different people, but there wasn't that many. And so there was never any super failure right off the bat, I will say, until as far as like failure of like, okay, that whole plan did not work at all. It was like, okay, that's a learning, and maybe it didn't not work, but it didn't work as well as something else could have. So it was always just stepping stones, I think, of getting started and doing that. But just taking that leap and quitting your job and just putting it on YouTube and stuff was a really big, it was a big venture. Definitely. It was, and there's been times, honestly, that we almost had to go and just quit it all together just because it just didn't, financially work out for us. And it was just like, well, we tried, and then we'd find something else. We'd find some other little niche or something of, okay, how can we get finances from this and still keep doing it? And that would be like, okay, well, what about apparel, and what about, and these little avenues that you go off as an entrepreneur, you're starting your entrepreneurial journey, I would say, and trying to figure out what fits and what works to suffice those, those payments and those bills that you have coming that never seem to stop.
Are you pretty good as far as the math equation that is like your finances? Is it, are you pretty good at cutting fat and making good decisions, I guess? Because some people say, oh, just quit your job and do this. But if you don't really understand the math behind certain things, you can put yourself in a pretty big position. And you have people with failed businesses and a ton of debt now because it didn't work out. Are you pretty good with the math part of it?
Me personally, not great. I wouldn't say as far as that goes. That's kind of Cody's realm. He's done really well at that side of things. And so he takes control of certain things and I control other things. But we've worked together on a lot of that stuff too. So it's been a learning curve for a lot of things for me on that realm as well. But man, the whole side of just the mathematics and taking leaps and stuff like that is it's all, you don't have to be super great at it to know that it's something that's going to be really effective to your life. So in my opinion, as far as like just the grade at, okay, is this going to work out? We didn't know, honestly, at the time. We were hoping, and the numbers looked good. They looked like, oh yeah, everything's going to work out. But it just, until it actually did, we were never 100% sure that it was going to even take flight, So.
Is it getting more difficult with more companies out there? Because then you're already established, so you guys are in probably good shape. But you look at people trying to get attention through Facebook ads or Instagram ads, or monetizing YouTube and whatnot, and it's hard to get through just the sheer amount of just stuff that's out there. Have you had a difficult time adjusting, or are you just really thankful that you're already established when things really blew up?
I'm super thankful. I won't lie to you. I am super thankful. It's, and like you just said, it is now, there is a lot of people doing it. I'm not saying it's a flooded market, and I'm not saying just nobody can do it now, by any means, but it seems like you do have to have some kind of a niche. And at the end of the day, though, like, because I talk to a lot of different companies that are just starting up, that's been one of my goals, as from what we've done, is to help other people. And so I've taken on 3 or 4 different groups, and kind of, I don't know if mentor is the right word, but, and kind of, talk to them and molded as far as like what I would think would be a good idea for them to do and stuff. And they're starting to get up and running and everything, but things are just there's so much content out there. There's so much content, and there's only so much that people are going to watch, or people are going to relate to. Right. And so it's one of those things where hitting that niche and trying to be new, and trying to not go down a path that you don't want to go down to get there, if that makes any sense. And I think that's a big thing. It's like, still, that we've done our whole time is like, stick to our guns of who we are, and never be like, well, this is popular right now, let's go head down, let's go do this because it's trending, if you will, or something of that nature. And I think a lot of people can get caught up in that, and it takes your validity, and it just kind of just really solidifies that. It doesn't work for long term.
Yeah. I think you can look at different people's models and whatnot. I do primarily writing. And so you look at what works for other people and what they write, but you essentially have to write your own story. You can't be, there's already a Corey Jacobson. There is already a Randy Newberg. You can't be the next person. You've got to just be yourself. And that can be a difficult thing when you're writing, because you can be influenced by other people, which is really important, to pay attention to people who are successful in what they do. But ultimately, you have to be true to yourself.
I totally agree. And that's going to help you sleep at night as well. But if you're sleeping on loads of cash, it's going to kind of, that could help, right?
You'll be all right. Was there ever a point when you guys did maybe lose your way just a little bit, and you had to kind of recorrect? Maybe you just got kind of caught up in just putting something out there where the quality dipped a little bit, or you got kind of caught up in something else. Was there correct?
Yeah. So there was a time. So when we first started out on YouTube, I started chopping up a lot of our old footage and putting it on YouTube, a lot of our old DVDs and stuff. And we realized that we needed to come out with something new, and something, that nobody had done before, and something that we could call our own. And we came out with a project called Land of the Free, to where we hunted every single day, and then we posted a video of every day that we hunted after we get back from hunting. And went to these companies and pitched it to these companies, the Hoyts and the Onyxes and all these big companies, and said, hey, we're going to, we'd like this much funding, and it's going to get you this many views. Well, did we know how many views it would get? No, we didn't. It was a made up number, to be totally honest with you, but we had a projection of what we would get out of that. So fast forward, we get through the project, and that's a whole podcast on its own, and get to the end of it. And we take 2 weeks off to spend with our families, because we'd been gone for almost a month and a half, and hadn't seen them. And so we get back, we hunted 5 different states for 10 days apiece. And then we get back and now we have to do this thing, now we have to come clean on what we told these companies that we would do. So we did that, and we did it to a T. We had a plan. We executed really, really well. And we put a video out every single day. There was no weekends. There was none of that. And so it was a huge workload for us. But what happened was we got so caught up in doing the videos every single day and doing all the stuff that we, said that we were going to do to these companies, that we are just the funding and everything. It was just so much work for us to do, where you had to buy the computers and some software, and then not to mention all the tags on the hunts and the fuel. And we weren't like projecting for long term, afterwards. And the money started to really run out. And YouTube, everybody thinks you're on YouTube, you're rich, you have no problem, you're on YouTube. It is not the case, people. It is not the case. So, YouTube pays very, very little in the grand scheme of things. And so we were at a point where it was like, okay, we did this, we sought out for it, and we didn't know what to do. We got so caught up in doing this thing, this big giant venture, that we didn't know how to capitalize on it. And anyway, a mentor of ours said, man, what are you guys doing here? You guys got this huge following. We built a big following because we were doing it. It was something new, no one had ever done. And anyway, and they said, well, and our mentor's like, well, why don't you sell apparel? Why don't you do this? And we never even, we were so busy doing the day-to-day that we never even really crossed our mind. And so then we came out, we didn't have enough money. We didn't have enough money to buy the apparel. And so we're like, well, we don't have any money left to do this. We kind of, and he was just like, dude, just put it online and just put it out there to say, hey, it's on back order. You will get your shirt when we get the shirts. And so we did it. And unbelievably, we'd never reached out to people. We'd always been just trying to develop this thing, and we'd never reached out to the people that were actually watching us, and never saw that. It was unbelievable, the flood of just the graciousness of people buying our merch, buying our apparel, buying our hats. But it also presented a whole new thing to where it's like, oh shoot, now we do have some income coming in, but we have not bought one shirt ever. We haven't designed, we haven't done it. So it was a real big learning curve and a lot of work starting out, a lot of work to do. But yeah, we ended up kind of taming the tiger, and a lot of family help. Our family really kicked in and really backed us and helped hourlessly trying to get the apparel stuff together and stuff. And that's kind of the way we started, honestly. And so to answer your question, yeah, there was times that it was just like, we didn't really know what was right and what was wrong, but we were just busy doing, right? So yeah, it's been a crazy journey as far as that goes.
Were you surprised at all at how helpful some people have been? Or you talked about mentors. There's this idea that everybody's your competition, and so you have to keep your good ideas close to yourself, because if someone else gets that good idea, then they're going to steal it from you. But I found with writing industry and even the podcasting too, there's a lot of great people who are just willing to help out. Were you surprised by people willing to mentor?
It was honestly a pleasant surprise a little bit, just because of that simple fact where, like you said, everything seems to be a competition. I want to get to the finish line first, right? Well, it's neat in the YouTube space to where it's, hey, if we work together and I help build you, you help build me, I feed off of your following and you feed off of my following, and it's like we all grow together. So yeah, it's definitely a very, very gracious a space to be in, I would say, as well. And with the mentorship, we actually got into an office in about a town about an hour from me, and it was pretty neat. It's an entrepreneurial office. So we have every single month we had meetings for everybody that was in this office space, and it would be these brainstorm meetings of how can we help each other out. And it was, man, it's really helped us in a lot of ways. And I would recommend that to anybody, man. Try to have some sort of a mentor or some sort of a group of people that just sit down and talk about ideas every once in a while, or talk about possible things that you could be doing, and more times than not, it leads to something really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm. Is there like a specific key moment that you recall that was a turning point, either something that a mentor said, or, we were a year and a half into this and we're like, oh my gosh, but then there was an idea or there was a person that said something that really made sense? Is there a moment or two that stick out with you?
I don't know if it was just an aha moment. I think it was a combination of a lot of different things, but I think in business, and I think a lot of times, especially when you come in and you do the same thing, a lot of the same thing, or you're making videos, or even on a job that you do the same thing over and over in an entrepreneurial side of things, I think it's just the faith, I think, that people put in. You're like, man, you guys could be, you guys need to be crushing it like this, or you guys could be turning this, as far as like more content or better content or something of that nature. I think it's the faith that other people put in you. I really do, to where it makes you even double down on yourself and believe in yourself more, because I think a lot of people, they get inside their own heads more than anything, and they're their worst enemy at times,
Yeah, that imposter syndrome for sure.
Yeah.
So tough. Can you look back at some of the early stuff that you did and watch it and enjoy it? Or are you too just, I look back at some of the stuff I wrote and I think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was paid for that. It's just so bad.
I try to, and I have been neglecting this last year, but I try to once a year. We did like 4 or 5 really, really good DVDs back in the day. And so I try to once a year sit down and watch, because it's, it's 20 years ago me, so it's kind of a different realm, and watch that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, not too often do I watch old stuff, but I think it's good to see that. I think it's good to see where you came from. I probably don't do it enough, I would say.
Yeah, it's fun to see the improvement and just realize that I'm so glad that I stuck with it, because I gave myself the opportunity to improve. Because if you cut that off too early, you don't go all the way down the road. I would think that's where you get some of that regret.
Yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree with you.
So I want to talk about black bear hunting. So you are in the process of things are starting up down there. You guys are going out this week?
Yeah, so we just started, what was it, last weekend, I believe was opening day. And I've just been kind of we just got hit with a big rainstorm, and it actually snowed in some places around here, which is not normal at all for especially this time of year, which anyway, even yearly, we don't get an inch of snow, every 2 or 3 years, maybe. So a little different than probably.
Yeah, not much, but it's sunny today.
Is it? Yeah. So, but right now, no, we're just kind of getting underway with bears, and they're pretty docile right now and pretty nocturnal. But once the sun starts getting out, and they should start showing themselves. We were on a bear this last weekend. It was a big sow it had a yearling cub, which is still legal you can still, harvest it legally, but we just decided we passed on it. So.
After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by big wireless providers, if we've learned anything, it's that there's always a catch. So when I first heard that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them and using their service, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they're the first company to sell wireless service online only. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings directly to you. For anyone who hates their phone bill, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. I was hesitant about having to get a new phone and a new phone number, but with Mint, you can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone and your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Mint Mobile gives you the best rate whether you're buying for one or for a family, and at Mint, families start at 2 lines. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and to get the plans shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/waypoint. That is mintmobile.com/waypoint. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/waypoint.
But Yeah, we're in full swing right now. The turkeys, Cody's covering the turkey side of things, and I'm covering the bear side of things right now. So.
Do you like draw for those things, or is it do you rotate, or is it just preference?
Just preference. Cody really, really loves turkey hunting, and I say and I like big game. I like anything real, big game. And so anyway, it's just preference as far as that goes. So yeah, it works out really well that he likes that too. So
yeah. Where did bear like stand when you were younger? Were you like growing up elk and that was number one? Bear was second. Where what was that like?
Bear wasn't on the docket when I was younger. We would see bears, and Dad, we would never shoot bears. We would never, ever. I mean, we never even got tags. Honestly, when we were younger, we hunted deer and elk, and that, I mean, all big game. That's exactly where our heads were at. We were not, bears weren't on the docket at all. And we didn't see a lot of bears back then. I don't remember seeing the numbers like we do now of bears. And I think there's definitely an issue as far as management wise with bears. I think we need to get some kind of a take on these bears, because it just seems like, man, our elk and deer populations are definitely struggling from when we were younger as well. So, and they do have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, we're really hurting with wolf populations on some of the islands, and it's a little bit of everything. It's bad winters, it's logging. You got to have the habitat, you got to have that good balance, and so sometimes wolves might get, too bad of a name, but they are definitely a part. And there are some people who want to say that no, wolves don't do anything, that they're vegetarians, they don't swim or something like that, but that's not at all true. So have you had, is there a big issue with the state politics when it comes to protecting bears? And is that why you're having the population increase, or what do you think it is? Not enough hunters?
It's crazy. Like you'll talk about certain animals, and I don't know if you've seen this at all, and I don't know if Alaska you're probably more of a proactive state, but you do know, like Washington just recently they shut down their spring bear hunting, and there was no science involved in it. It was just it was an emotional decision that the board made, which was so bad. But I could see other states. Usually it's Washington, and California usually goes first, and then Washington, and then Oregon usually follows for some stupid reason. And so I hope it doesn't kind of migrate to us. But no, as far as if you look at and I've been over to the Fish and Wildlife a number of times, and because you have to check in every bear in Oregon. So you have to check the head in, and you have to get the tooth out of it and everything. So when you do that, that tells them that they can really actually scientifically record every bear if everybody's legal, right? Of course. So when you do that, it gives us an idea of what the population's like and what the achievement for retention is like. Like in the unit that I hunt, we've seen a ton of bears. We see quite a few bears. They never even come close to their retention as far as what they want to kill. Like they're like not even half of what they need to kill. But yet their tag application or implementation, how about that, is now you can't even hardly draw it. Now you can't. Really? It's just like it's limited. It's capped off at 6,200 tags for the whole region, for the whole kind of west coast of Oregon, and it's just really frustrating because it's like I don't, we don't meet the retention. We don't meet what they say to keep a healthy population. We don't meet that, but yet they will not allow us to buy more tags. And it's just interesting to me. And then if you just mention the word bear alone, it's like they're those cute and cuddly things that just go and dip honey out of jars, kind of thing. And I think with the wolf, I think is the same kind of a little bit. We have wolves around. They're starting to come here where I live, not in super big numbers yet, but you could probably speak to the wolf side of things too. It's a whole different deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty tough because you have the perception of wolves is based on the knowledge people have of wolves in Colorado or in Wyoming, which is pretty much extinct, if not, threatened to be extinct. And so people apply that sort of down south logic to Prince of Wales Island, Alaska, and they think that they're doing something that's got a great purpose, and they think that they're doing something that's really, really important. But they don't understand that Prince of Wales Island is not, it's not a big old gridded out territory. It's super, super wild and rugged. And, there's more deer than people, and you don't have a lot of roads going everywhere, and you don't have farms. You have areas that have been logged and there's second growth, but it's the third largest island in the US and there's less than 5,000 people. And so when people think they're protecting wolves, like, okay, yeah, but it would be impossible to trap them out. There's no chance. And I know some wolf trappers that are really, really good, but there's no way. And they'll admit it. They're like, no, there's no way. Even if you gave me all the free gas money you could, I would not be able to trap out the wolves. It's too wild still, which is a good thing, which means that those wolves are going to be around for a very, very long time. But, the assumption is that hunters and trappers are just going to eradicate. And it's not
the case.
True. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So our bears I really, I hope we don't get to a point where it's like, yeah, we need, to shut it down. They won't let us bait anymore, and they won't let us hunt with dogs or anything like that anymore. And so you see this decline in a lot of different things that you're allowed to do, just as of, 10, 12 years ago. And now what's that path looks like for our kids, what's that look like for the next generations to come would be my thought process on it.
Yeah. So what is your black bear hunting program? I know down south you're looking more for like grassy areas. Up here it's just the tidal flats. You're hitting the tidal flats, you're hitting some of those lower areas, looking for them flipping over rocks, things like that. So what are some of the telltale signs of you're in bear territory?
That south facing slope grass, just what you mentioned, same thing. We're keying on grass. They're just starting to, really get out and start to pack on some food, and it comes in the way of grass. We don't have like the wild blueberries like you guys have. We don't have that kind of stuff. We'll have a lot of blackberries, but that's in August. So that's a fall bear hunt kind of thing. And by that time it's elk season. We don't pay attention to that at all. So yeah, it's just pretty much grass. And there is some huckleberry stuff that they'll key on this time of year, but mostly just big open grass, those new shoots, those new units that are just starting to green up a little bit. That's what we're going to look at.
Do you get really, obviously you're really excited for elk hunting. Do you get really excited for new opportunities in elk hunting, or to go back to where because you feel like you have the advantage? Oregon has a reputation of being a very difficult place to find elk. If you were going to talk to Corey Jacobson, he'd probably say maybe Alaska is pretty tough. But what gets you more excited? To go back where when you have more experience, or to go to a new place like you guys hunted Wyoming and Colorado, right?
Yeah. I've got to hunt Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, a few different. Not me personally, but I've been there and helped people hunt in those states, and yeah. So the answer to that question is a new place every time. I think that's a block for some people, because we've done it a couple different times to where we went to Colorado and just had an epic, awesome hunt. It was amazing. We killed 5 bulls in I forget what it was. It was like 10 days. It was crazy. And it was epic. And so we're like, we're going back next year. Next year, I'm not saying it was a ghost town, but it was darn close to it. We were hiking, 11, 13 miles a day trying to find these things. And we had these preconceived notions of, well, they were right here last year, they're going to be here this year. And so what happens, I think, in the mind frame is you don't hunt as hard, because you're like, well, they were here last year. And then pretty soon that doubt starts to really fill your mind, and you're starting to go, oh man, okay, well, what about over here? And pretty soon the team is starting to get at each other, well, why aren't they here? Why, that was so good last year. So I think it's all these places that you have these preconceived notions, of, and I think it definitely messes with the team dynamic and the personal dynamic of where you're at, whereas if you go to a new area the next year, you don't have any of those preconceived notions. So you're just looking for that next hillside to go over. You're looking for that next rock to turn over to find something under it. And so I think we hunt a lot harder when we are in new country that we have never been in before. And it definitely makes it more fun too. I want, when I die, we were talking about this the other day, when I die, I want that whole map. I don't want it to be like, this is where we hunt in Wyoming and this is where we hunt in Colorado. I want it to look like it has chicken pox everywhere, to where it's just like dots all over it would be cool.
Yeah. My wife was getting her PhD at University of Wyoming in Laramie. And so she was resident and was able to get a nice elk tag. And so we put game cameras during the summer and, we're seeing some awesome bulls, tons of stuff around and thinking, oh man, this is so great. And did that elk 101 elk course thing that they put together. And so, just getting the knowledge and watching YouTube stuff. And I went down there at the end of September and I was so sure that it was going to happen because 2 weeks before my wife had gone out by herself by where we'd put the game cameras up. And she sat down, she called and got her Kindle out to start reading and waiting. And then monster bull comes in, but she never has a shot because it just doesn't come clear of the brush. And she says she's hearing them and she even camped and she heard them at night. And I'm thinking, this is a slam dunk. We did the work. I'm already like writing the column in my head. You put forth the work and you invest in your education and you just make it happen. And I go down there and we don't hear one elk bugle, not even at night. It was just horrible. We ended up having 3 encounters. Like we were walking around, do some calling and we ended up that they were quiet the whole time. At one point, bull and a cow were probably coming into it, but we'd already started moving a little bit and didn't have time to do anything. Another one, we just totally jumped. The thing just took off. And it was amazing to have those encounters, but silence. They were around, had just gone silent and, ended up not even getting a shot. And I thought, dang, that's what I get. I know better. Like you never do that. You never do that.
But still, okay. The very next thing, confidence is not a bad thing either. So it's like, go the opposite way too. You're overconfident, and whatever happens there too.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You have to have fun too, and you get tested in that. Okay, I'm out here. I'm hunting with my wife. Like this is great. This is fantastic. Yes. I couldn't want anything more than this. I'll just never make those promises in my head again.
Don't write the column, you mean, before you get done?
Do you find that you guys are doing that ever that you're kind of telling the story on video or you're thinking it's going to be one thing before it actually happens?
Not too much. No, I think if you take every single hunt or every single adventure as just that, it's an adventure. And that's one thing that we don't try to do. We did that. So our first year, it was amazing. I mean, in the first elk season, I think it was 12 or 13 bulls in that first season. And it really catapulted us. And then I'm not saying we expected to do that, but it's definitely something that we would shoot for, and try to achieve. And then the next year it was like 10 elk, and then the next year it was like 7 elk. And then it was just like, okay, guys, we're going the wrong direction here. We need to be going. And so was there preconceived notions of success? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you need to visualize that in your mind that you're going to succeed, or else it can weigh on you even harder. So I think having that positive outlook and that forward look is a good thing. But at the same time, were we expecting better and were we expecting it to be different? Yeah, there's been a lot of times I would say that it was just like, I won't say a letdown, but at the same time, a letdown to where it's like we got to the spot, we did all the pre-scouting, e-scouting, homework and all that. And it was just like ghost town. And man, it's just like this, you've seen it 100 times. I'm sure the roller coaster, man, it's what does the emotions. It's crazy. And then when it all comes together or doesn't, that adds into it as well.
Mm-hmm. At this point, are you pretty comfortable with no matter what's going to happen? Because again, you are established. I know there used to be those gatekeepers that were magazine editors or network editors that it had to be really good content to get through. But now anybody can do anything. And you have amateurs who are getting really good shots and you're having, just so much content out there. Do you have to step back sometimes and think, hey, to just keep doing our thing, or the technology is improving and some people are getting some crazy good footage or whatnot, and so we should, do you feel any sort of competition, or you just take a breath and do your thing?
I don't think it would be called a competition. I think it would definitely be a gut check. I think nowadays, just in the last, I would say 5 years, maybe, it's just is anybody, and I really, really, really hate to see hunting and stuff go to this, but it's just far as, you kill something, if it's a big animal, you're posting it right now, and it's seen by everybody, to whereas, like, I don't want to ever see people or ever get stuck in that mode of, man, well, they killed a big one, why can't I, and it's just with media so fast right now, all you're doing is scanning with your finger on your phone and you can see everybody's success. And when you're trying your butt off and it's not working for you, it is so easy to just be down on yourself, to be negative, and then get judgmental on people, well, they had to have poached that, or they had, what I mean? It's just this different, I think we'd be lying to ourselves to say it's not a different hunting, realm of success now than it was 10 years ago, and it's just, man, it is something to think about, and it's something to actually always keep in check of, okay, where are we at here? What are we doing this for? And everything that we do on our company or in our company that is, educate, entertain, and inspire. And if it hits those pillars, if it's what we have is going to hit those pillars, then it's something that we're going to post. It's just something that we're going to run with. But if it does not hit those pillars, and it's something that maybe looks egotistical, or maybe, something to have to do with that, we need to really pump the brakes and check ourselves and say, okay, what exactly are we doing this for, and what's going on here?
Yeah, I have students that talk about the annoyance by the end of the summer in tourists that have come up, because they'll cut the fish for the people who come up here and fish or whatnot. And
yeah.
There's always people who are upset that they didn't catch a 50-pound king salmon. And the other people who are so excited, with a 12-pound halibut, it just absolutely makes their year. And then you have the entitled people who thought that this was a matter of paying money to get this big fish, and they probably talked it up to all their friends. Hey, I'm going to Alaska and we're going to go king salmon fishing. So these expectations now, if they're not being met, we only caught one 15-pounder. It was too small. It was too little. It's like, you're in Alaska, I've one who's a kayak guide, and she gets annoyed with people because they don't see whales or this or that. You're kayaking in Alaska and it's a beautiful day. Like, you got to realize that too.
Be grateful with what we have. 100%. I agree with you. 100%. Yeah. That being said, if I get up there with you, I expect a 50-pounder.
Well, I never see a black bear that's got a smaller skull than 20 inches. So,
ever?
Yeah. It's like pigeons, there's no baby pigeons. Well, there's no black bears with tiny skulls. They just go right to massive 7-8 footers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 300-inch Roosevelt. Everybody has seen one. Everybody has seen a 300-inch Roosevelt. And I try to tell them, I've worked in the woods all my life. I've been in the woods, since I was born, and I maybe have seen two on the hoof, so it's just like, a 300-inch bull is giant, man. It's giant, but yeah.
Have you? Yeah. I know some of the guys have gone up to. Was it Kodiak? They went up there for blacktail.
Yeah, Cody went up there with the EXO guys.
Okay, yeah. Have you ever come up here to Alaska outside of going up to Dillingham to commercial fish?
No, I haven't. So that's our goal. This what is it going to be? 2020. It's next year. We're planning on doing a Sitka blacktail bow hunt on one of the islands up there. I don't know exactly where it is as far as which island it is, but we're going to go with a guy that Wayne Endicott. I don't know if you ever heard of the Bow Rack in around here. It's one of the better archery shops, I would say, in the Western United States, if not the country. And anyway, Steve's went up a couple different times hunting with like Nate Simmons and stuff like that up there. So we're going to do that. It should be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to do that. It's been a bucket list, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you get to get rid of that huge void that's been in your life that you haven't hunted Alaska, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Call yourself a hunter until you've made the pilgrimage.
Yeah, you can't say you're a hunter. You can't. It's a 50-pound salmon and a Sitka blacktail, then you can maybe.
Yeah, you can't graduate. That's our high school exit exam. You have to get a big game animal and have a 50-pound king under your belt. Otherwise, you don't get your diploma.
No diploma. Yeah, you can't call yourself an Alaskan, really. Can you?
I know. I live in Southeast, and so I call myself JV Alaska to a lot of my buddies that live up in Fairbanks because, I went up there for a caribou hunt. It was -30, and that was my spring break last year. It's March, and we're up there snowmobiling around -30. And I'm thinking, man, this is next level. I got to get back to where my simple life, my warm life down in Ketchikan. But it's such a vast state, and there's so much to offer. It's so much fun.
It's so beautiful up there, and it's just the neat thing about it is it hasn't been, a lot of it hasn't been trekked on that much, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Hard to get around, but and expensive to get around, but it's pretty sweet.
What's your gas up there now? Or
I don't look when I gas up, and I don't look when I go to the store to buy stuff. I'm just like, hey, here's the card. Here's my Safeway card. Let's maybe save $3, but otherwise I don't want to know. It's probably in the 450s, so maybe low 460s.
Way cheaper than us then. So
yeah.
That's
Wales, where I'm going to be this summer and where I grew up, I'm sure it's above 5 because that's just a little bit further. Ketchikan is, regional hub at 10,000 people, so a little bit cheaper here, but yeah, it's getting pretty crazy.
No, it's 550 or something here. Anyway, your age because your kids are going, I saw the gas prices. And they look at you like, Dad, you are so old. And I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I used to say that to my parents too. How about that? So,
yeah. Well, coming up on an hour here, man, what do you got for like a closer or either advice for people getting into the industry in some realm, advice for hunters or anybody going to Oregon or bear hunting, or what do you got to close out here?
Oh, man. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's work. At the end of the day, and I can't express this enough. It's everybody, you want to jump on YouTube, you want to get on Instagram, and you want to make money on these things, which is totally viable. Anybody can do it for one. Anybody can. I tell everybody, if you were to right now post a video every single day of your life by the next, if you did that straight for, let's say 15 years straight, you will be a millionaire. But it's having that work ethic because somebody will watch it. Somebody will join on to exactly what you're doing and think it's interesting. And then you will start to get a following around that. And they will realize your dedication, your hard work to do that every single day of your life. Not a lot of people want to do that, obviously, but I'm just saying, it's at the end of the day, it's the work that goes into it. And, it's not just a make money overnight thing at all, but it's a conglomeration of a period of time. Over time you will succeed at it, and that's what I keep on just telling people, man. It's not yes, the videos have something to do with it, obviously, and stuff like that, but it's the work ethic at the end of the day of willing to do it and stay with it and keep creating content that people will like and inspire people by it. And so that would be it as far
Excellent.
as that goes.
That's a good closer. So people can find you at bornandraisedoutdoors.com, then also the YouTube channel. And you were going to post your Onyx coordinates for your bear hunt, right?
Yep.
And the elk hunts too.
I'll have those up by the end of the week.
Yeah, if you're premium member, you get some coordinates.
Yes, all the coordinates, everything.
Coordinates, perfect.
Oh man,
awesome. Well, thanks, man. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for doing what you do, and take care and good luck.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it, brother.
See you.